welcome to the Dad Jitsu podcast. We are on the road for the first time and we've come down to Ippon Gym, as you can see. We've just had a few rolls, no-gi with Jeff and Leo, and then we did the judo class, which was super fun. Yeah, really enjoyed that. And we're going to talk about being a parent, being a kids coach, and being a young person on the mat, and how that's been being trained by your dad, and yeah, just everything to do with being a family in jiu-jitsu, really. Yeah.
I think you guys hit every strap with that, really. It's cool. It's a cool dynamic.
Yeah.
Do you want to just tell us a bit about how you got into this martial arts world, Jeff?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I started judo when I was 8 years old, and I absolutely loved it, and I did find it really difficult, but I never had difficulty in motivation and getting there and going. I really loved it, and I can sort of see, no one pushed me, and I can sort of see that in him as well. Now you've just asked me that question, I was always going there on my own. I used to walk miles in my white gi with my yellow belt on. I used to come in, and it was muddy, so yeah, so that's how I started. But believe it or not, I wasn't, it's down to my own perspective, I wasn't very successful with judo. I never got to the heights that I wanted to get for myself. So then I branched into, did a thing called sport jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
I started a bit of Thai boxing, which then led me into MMA. And then that's when my judo became very successful for me, was when I went from traditional judo to MMA. So yeah. And I kind of went from MMA to Brazilian jiu-jitsu, even though I was doing a little bit in and out.
Yeah.
And then I really started getting sort of serious with my Brazilian jiu-jitsu, probably when I was about a purple belt.
Right.
Probably,
How old were you then?
Do you know what? I can't remember. No, I can't remember. I must have been, I don't know, I was a blue belt when I was in 2009, I know that. Blue belt in 2009, and then...
Yeah, it's about 15 years ago. Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a black belt for 10 years now. It might be my 11th year, I don't know. I can't remember. Might be 11 years. I don't know. I
suppose you stop counting, don't you, after a while?
Yeah, it's not important to me how, but I just know that I put one of these on when I was 8 years old, and I haven't taken them off since, so...
Going back to your MMA, were you in the Tough House?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I watched that series. I remember avidly watching it.
Yeah, it was good.
Come on, UK.
Yeah,
UK.
that was it. It was the UK guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. How was that? It's an experience.
Yeah, it was a really nice experience. Really good, and it sort of showed me how, even though we were just messing about in the house, it showed me how a professional sports person has to work, has to, it really sort of highlighted the fact that, this is what they do, this is what professional sports people do. And the way we did it, the way we were training, you could take that to anything. He does that now, he does, 2 sessions a day, one of them might be technical, drilling, mostly sparring, and then like 2 or 3 weights training sessions a week. It just really showed me how to be a professional athlete, even though I probably wasn't. I learned about how to be one, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So Leo, when you started, how old were you when you first started?
4.
With your dad? 4.
Wow. Amazing.
That's fresh, isn't it?
Yeah.
So did you find you were into it right from the start, or do you feel like there was a moment where it just kind of clicked for you and then you were away?
I mean, I enjoyed it all the time, but I think it clicked over lockdown. When I used to watch a lot of UFC, and I was like, I want to do UFC, and I started going to started lifting weights and stuff like that, and really getting a love for it.
Great.
Over lockdown,
So that was what we're in now. That was sort of 3-4 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was nearly 5 years ago.
Was it? Nearly 5 years ago. Wow.
So
how old were you? Yeah, how old were you then?
12,
Okay.
13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys were sort of training together, mats then?
Yeah, because I had 9 mats at home.
Nice.
On the decking, and we had the best summer ever, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, even Easter was amazing.
Yeah, and we were, I put the mats down with the intention of doing it all the time. Started with foot sweeps with Leo. This is boring. I don't know why we're doing it. Yeah, seriously. So we ended up just rolling and messing about.
Yeah.
We rolled like 3 or 4 times a week, didn't
Yeah,
we?
we did, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And did you find like, so you said during lockdown, then did you start competing more and more after that? Obviously when we came out
Yeah.
of all that, and you loved it more and more when you started winning competitions.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have super success at the beginning,
Right.
but when I started to grow, get better and stuff, and then the love for it even came even more. You know?
Yeah.
So what was jiu-jitsu like prior to that? So when you were like 4 or 5, you know, in those early kind of days, was it something that you were like really excited to be here, or was it a bit like, oh, I'm going because Dad's there and I want to spend time with Dad, or?
I don't really remember, to be honest. I just remember it was a really good time with my friends.
Yeah.
Most of my friends were at jiu-jitsu. It was just good. I love like fighting them as well. It's just like good fun, you know. It wasn't anything too serious.
That's absolutely the right environment.
Yeah.
I mean, our kids. I mean, my son's 11. He's been doing it since he was about 7. Henry's kids were a lot younger, sort of 5,
3, 6 and 8.
3, 6, and 8. Yeah. So and it's just we hang out on a Saturday. They're all friends, and they just, like you said, they just mess around, chuck each other around. And we're trying not to put too much pressure on it. So I think it's reassuring that that's clearly the right sort of environment. You don't want to push kids too much at that tender age, do you?
No, you really don't, and that really comes across. That really comes across in my kids' classes,
Right.
because they are quite light-hearted. You know, they're really light-hearted. I'm not producing any AOJ sort of technical masters. I'm really not. I started teaching the kids when he was 4 for his classmates. That was it.
Did you have a goal that you wanted Leo to do jiu-jitsu, do judo, sort of do that as a thing throughout?
I didn't have a goal for him to be anything in it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to introduce him to it, simply because I know how good it is it's good for them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's good for our bodies as well. You know, so you know, don't mean me to tell you that, but and it's sort of because we've got the same interest, it definitely strengthens and deepens your relationship.
Yeah.
You know, I wish my daughter would do it, but she won't do it.
Yeah, really.
Has she come and tried it?
She has tried it. Yeah. I'd like him to teach her.
How old is she?
She's 15.
Okay, so similar. How old are you? 16. 17. Yeah. Similar sort of age then.
Yeah, but she just.
It's difficult.
She wouldn't do
It's a tricky one, isn't it? You don't want to push them, do you?
No. She likes punching things.
Right.
Okay. So does she do the Muay Thai?
I teach her.
Right.
Yeah. That's it.
So were there times, you know, where it was difficult having your son on the mats, or has it always been?
No, it's never been difficult. No, it's always been really, really easy, because, like I say, it's just play. It's just really play. Not to say that I haven't had kids that are a problem. I've had a lot of kids that are problems in the early days as well. It was because I didn't have any teaching to teach kids. You know, I was just going off what my old judo coach was doing, and then trying to put those techniques together with,
learning on the fly sort of thing.
Literally, I learned on the fly. And looking back to now, it was awful. Not that I'm a great teacher for the children now, because like Leo and one of the purple belts do most of it for me now.
Oh, great.
Looking back at it, it was an absolute shame.
What do you think the main differences are, you know, between how you run things now and how you sort of started running things?
So I make sure that back then I copied like the Gracie games. Have you seen the Gracie games?
Seen bits of them, yeah.
Which are great. You know, some of them are great. Some of them are a little bit sort of, there's very little contact and they don't really work, I don't think.
Yeah.
For me personally. So I just copied that model, but when I ran out of that model, then it was like, crap. Now what do I do? You know, and then leading up to the first competition, some of the kids leading up to the first competition, it was like, actually, I've got to get serious now. I've got to start counting points for them and showing them what, how they need to fight. You know, and some of them they didn't have a clue, and that was my responsibility. And then thinking about it now, if you can run a jiu-jitsu club with kids and adults, and it would be good, as long as you don't do a competition. As soon as you start adding competitions into it, then you've got to be super serious. You know, you've got to make sure that you know, people, obviously, we still do it for love and pleasure and all that sort of stuff. But then you've got to look at, God, these guys, they want to win. I've got to give these guys techniques that they can do to win these fights, because otherwise, you know, people aren't going to come back to my classes, even though they're fun and stuff like that. People, well, you know, there's a club down the road that has competitors, you know.
They're getting the results.
They're getting the results, you know. So, you know, I've gone through that sort of transition of, yeah, this kids' class is really good fun. I mean, we don't have many competitors now, Leo, do we, in the kids' classes? Hardly any, but the ones we have got are quite good. You know, they're you know, but going back to what I said, I'm not teaching any AOJ sort of elite children. I'm not doing that. The goal for me is to get these kids, and I've said this on other podcasts before, is to get them to their juvenile blue belts. And then, you know, and this is just my personal goal, get them up to that age of 16 where they can transition into the adults and then really start growing in their jiu-jitsu. And I know some clubs will say that's too late, they need to be, you know, we've got some whiz kids now that come from other clubs, haven't we, that are doing like reverse de la Hivas into all sorts of things, you know. I don't do that with my kids. I don't do it. I mean, we're starting to do it with the teenagers now to catch up with the other kids that are visiting us. But with my little guys, you know, we're just having fun. You know, they're up and down the mats most of the time doing stuff, aren't they? They love it. I mean, I've been teaching double legs for about 6 months. Not one of them can, you know, you probably put them and they really struggle to get it.
Yeah.
You know, even though I'm drilling it into them, I'm doing all the drills, I'm making them do it. Go on then. They just go. You know, so it's such a hard thing, because if you have a technical goal with a 5, 6, 7-year-old, and we've got like 30 in our 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old class. There's
all on the mat at the same time.
All on the mat at the same time,
That's
right?
chaos.
That's chaotic,
It is chaos.
Yeah.
It is absolute chaos. So what we do is we have them doing line drills.
Like judo.
And,
like
literally like that, and they can do that. They can do that, and we make it fun. And so I get them, for example, for a double leg, I get them to drop to their knees and hug the legs, and they're my coaching points. Drop to the knees, hug the legs. That's it, right? And they do that going down the mat. They probably don't even know that that's a takedown, but they're doing it. They're doing it, and it's getting into their system. You know?
Those pathways are getting carved.
Exactly, and that's kind of my approach to teaching them is get them used to that contact, get them used to like, oh no, I've got to do this in jiu-jitsu, but why have I got to do it? And then all of a sudden they're quite strong there, or they're quite strong there like that, and it's building their bodies to get used to that connection and that movement in jiu-jitsu. You know. And
also, I think you're right. Here we go. We tend to play camera bingo. How many times just to check it, we do a little ding.
Right.
But I think like you were saying, you probably by that point, the single leg grab, for example, it's so ingrained, they don't have to think about it, so they can think about the next stages and the slightly more technical elements of it. Rather than throwing loads of technique where they've got 4, 5, 6 things to remember at once. It's a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that, and with the perspective of that, you know, that's my goal for my children. It just feels right for my sort of coaching, you know, to get them to this level, and then that's when they can start taking jiu-jitsu they can decide whether they want to take jiu-jitsu a little bit more seriously or not.
I totally agree with that. I think, you know, if you can get a child to 16, 17, like if they're still into it they're almost like an adult. You know, and you know, how many things were you into when you were like 4 or 5 that like once you get to like mid-teens you're like, I don't want to do it. So it's kind of, you can just keep them engaged till that like mid-teen level, and it's still cool and it's still something you want to do. You're probably going to do it for the rest of your life. Maybe.
Plus you've got a bit of your man strength sort of thing. And I mean, juvenile blue, you know, we were saying on the way up here, you put a juvenile blue belt who's trained all the way up from being a kid, and you put that against like an adult blue belt who's been trained 2 years, you might be training, like say, most of your life for 10 years. That's two different.
It really is.
Two different things completely.
They juvenile blue belts, mostly juvenile blue belts, are a lot speedier. You know, they're a lot hungrier than you know, our hobbyist blue belts. You know, and you really found that. I mean, for one tournament. We did the London Open this time last year, the IBJJF London Open. Even though he had been competing and doing a little bit, that was the first sort of big one that we'd done. And he'd been training with adults, literally been training with adults, and he does all right. He was doing all right at that stage with the adults. Yeah. Got him with the juvenile blue belts, and he fought the same boy twice, and it was just a shell shock.
Yeah.
Because of the pace and the speed and the hungriness of that. There was no half guard sitting back and
stalling and
here we go.
Yeah.
It was bang from the word go. And because he'd been training with adults who weren't like that, it was shell shock straight away. So it's a really good thing to learn though, because you know what to expect now, don't you, with the juveniles. So
Leo's ducking us because we're too slow. How's it? Go on.
I was just going to say it's good for everyone though that we've got competitive juvenile blue belts, because they get us old guys working.
Oh my god,
they get us and it's
a wake-up call for us for sure.
Oh, it's good because you've got to adjust your game a little bit. You either get slower. Go on then, which is what I tell my guys to do.
Right.
I always say to my older guys, if they're fighting, we've got some guys in their 20s as well, and they're like that. And I always say to my older guys, look, just don't match their pace. No. Take your time, slow them down with your guard. Exactly, yeah. I said never match their speed, because they have done that.
Yeah, you're not going to win.
They're like 2 minutes, and they're like, boom, they're done.
Prior to my Polaris match, I picked like the 3 youngest, like gassiest people I could pick for like a 10-minute shot. And it was just the worst experience of all time. 2 minutes in, I'm just gassed, and they're just like, get up, just smashing me. I'm like, well, it's not going to be this hard on the day.
No.
So recently, you won the Worlds.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah,
that's incredible, man.
Yeah, Nogi Worlds. How was that as an experience for both of you? Well, start with you, Leah. How was that as an experience?
Amazing. My first one abroad, first competition abroad.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, big in Vegas.
Yeah.
Could have been the best place ever. But it's like first big IBJJF tournament, like a Euros or a Worlds or something like that. Sorry, what was the question?
Did it feel different? When you were there? Obviously, you've done competitions before, but then going to such a big tournament like the Worlds in America, and everyone's there.
There was like 14 mats.
Oh my god,
mental.
that's crazy.
Just
like
cameras.
Yeah. Everyone going around with cameras. I felt confident going into it.
Great.
You have to.
Yeah.
You force yourself into that mindset, sort of thing.
Yeah. You have to.
How many matches did you have?
So it's supposed to be to gold. It was supposed to be. Was it 3 or 4?
I think it was just 3 to gold. It wasn't a big bracket.
Yeah.
But the first guy didn't show.
The first guy didn't show.
Right, okay.
And the second guy, he fought the second guy, and then the final after that. But then he also did the absolute.
Yeah.
And again, the first one pulled out, and then he had 2 fights after that. So what was it? 6 fights you had?
Yes.
Yeah,
especially 6. Yeah.
That's awesome to go to such a big competition and have so many matches. Like even aside from winning, just to get that experience at that level, like with so many matches, is a great experience.
What I planned for him was to do the Euros at juvenile, but there's such a stupid rule that the IBJJF have. Is it's your year of birth. So he's 18 this year.
Right.
Okay. So he's got to fight adult because he's 18 this year.
Okay.
It should just be on your birthday, right?
Yeah, right.
Because we've got another guy who trains here in the Southern Quarter who's got to fight adult now, but he's not 18 until the end of December.
That's ridiculous.
Like 5 days
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So
it's pretty harsh, isn't it?
It is harsh. It's not really fair.
Doesn't make sense, really.
I don't think. It should just be on your birthday, when you're an adult, you're an adult.
Absolutely, yeah.
But anyway, what I had planned for him was to do the Euros, and we weren't even thinking about the Worlds. Just go, because we've only been doing Nogi for how long?
Just over 2 years.
We've really focused on Nogi, and I wanted him to do the Euros because as a juvenile in the gi doing Euros, I thought that would be brilliant. You know, his last juvenile tournament to get that in the Euros, and then great. So, and I was sat at home one night, and I knew that he couldn't do the Euros because of that stupid rule. They said that he can't do it. So I'd entered him in it anyway, come up as adults, so I thought, okay, that's what we're doing that one. But then I still want him to get that last little tournament, that bit of success at juvenile.
Last little one.
Yeah.
Just do a little warm up.
Well, that was the thing. It just kept popping up, and I thought, I'll just have a look and see what it's like. So I looked at it, and I looked at his bracket, and there weren't many guys in it, and I thought, there's a chance there, you know. I don't have any expectation for him. I just thought, right, let's go out there, let's get your ass kicked. We'll have a good time.
Good experience.
We'll be around all those people, I've got so many photos with like top guys like Cyborg and all you know, I've really proper fanboy out there. And I thought, let's go there. We'll get him the experience. We'll do this with no expectations, so he can see the level, you know, where he's got to be, where he's got to aim for. Yeah. And he beat me. Do you know what I mean?
Amazing.
Yeah. So,
how did that feel for you when he got his hand raised? You know, when he won that final?
Great. That was such a good.
Some tears?
No. But it was so. His final was so dominant. He did everything right. He was doing really lovely passing. Did that nice takedown. Never taught him that takedown ever. It was a massive fluke on it. That takedown.
Was it a big Haragoshi?
It was a Hanagoshi.
Ah, nice.
You know, you were saying that today, right? But it was
a tricky one to kind of get in your game, isn't it?
I don't know.
It just happened.
It just happened.
Love that.
It just happened.
Oh, I love it.
That's amazing.
But it worked. It worked really well, and you got a guy on his back, and he never got off of his back after that, did he? And then you submitted him. Yeah. Submitted him with a good old judo technique at the end, which was nice.
There is a lot to be said for just, and this you can probably apply this to any competition. Just going in with no expectation in a way.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, you just wanted to get the experience. I think you can so easily get in your own head about a competition, especially a big stage.
Yeah.
Oh my god, oh, there's so and so over there. Oh my god, there's so and so, and just really like get yourself at it. Whereas, and I guess it's hard to get yourself into that mindset, but the fact you guys managed to get into that was amazing. You know,
I mean, it was a really good trip, and you know, people like I've had enough of leisure centres. I've absolutely had enough.
The little down.
You know, the little down. What's the one in Portsmouth as well? That
Mountbatten.
Mountbatten Centre. Crystal Palace. I've done all of them like 100 times.
Was it at the Water Pyramid? At the was the Worlds at the Pyramid?
No, it was in the convention centre.
In the
convention centre, which was huge. It wasn't like a leisure centre.
When
we went in there, the experience was so different. It was so amazing that that we could have been there with those people, and it was just lovely. We like went in there, we were like, oh my god, look at this. you know, walk into the Mountbatten Centre.
Right.
Yes. It's just like, you know, it was like no sports hall I'd ever been to, you know, and it was something special. It was really, really good, you know.
And was it just the two of you that went?
Yeah,
that's incredible. What a great father-son.
It was you know,
moment.
one of the best.
Yeah,
it really was, and I won't forget that. We won't be doing it next year because there's no juvenile one. I want you to sort of build up again, and you know, but yeah, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, you know, and that's something I've never expected. When I booked it, I didn't expect anything really to come out of it. I just wanted to see where he was, and I wanted him to feel, you know, I wanted him to feel that level, you know, because they're deeper than us with their training, you know. They've got 10 years on we at least than we have, you know. So I thought it would be like a boost. And you know, it has been anyway. You know, it has been. So yeah, it was a good decision.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a good decision.
That's amazing.
Have you got specific goals in jiu-jitsu? Is it still like a a hobby, or when obviously you said in COVID you sort of started taking it a bit more seriously, but is that like, I want to be a professional, I want to go on, maybe you said about the MMA, or is it, where are you at with it?
The idea of MMA has fallen out of my head, I'll be honest, for a bit, yeah. It's nice to focus on just one thing, I guess, just on the jiu-jitsu. You know, I forgot the question again.
Yeah, well, do you want to be a professional jiu-jitsu athlete? Is that where you're sort of going now?
Yeah. And then coach and stuff like that, obviously, exactly the same as my dad.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
Do you find that coaching has really helped your game and your jiu-jitsu as an individual? Sort of like breaking fundamentals down and really going into the weeds?
Yeah, it does help, yeah. I mean, if I want to, like if I do a couple of one-to-ones with kids as well, and if I want to work on a technique that I don't do very often, I'll do it with them, I'll teach them it, and it helps me a lot as well. It's quite useful.
Especially teaching kids.
Yeah.
Because you really have to kind of think about different ways of kind of getting basic thing, or not necessarily basic things, sometimes quite complex things across to them, and it kind of makes you realise, you know, to give the example of like De La Riva and stuff, it's like, you know, an adult you might just show them how to put their leg, and the kid it's just sort of there, and you're like, okay, you've got to think about the shape of your foot and where it's going, and all these kind of things.
We did reverse De La Riva a couple of weeks back, didn't we? And I don't think one of them got it. It was just because it's a very complex way of moving your body.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. I always say to the kids when I teach them something, I guess it's because of my nature, I'm quite a little bit of a wind-up. I always say to the teenagers, if I teach them something like De La Riva or reverse De La Riva, something like that, say, right, kids, I've got a proper grown-up technique for you. I don't think any of you are going to be able to do it, but let's give it a go anyway, right? But they really, you know, that gives them a like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you see right at fire.
Yeah. It really does. But they know, you know, they're used to me taking the neck and stuff like that. You know, I think that is how I was coached when I was younger.
I think we probably both agree it's exactly the right environment for kids.
Yeah,
Keep it fun, keep a bit of banter.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not doing anything too serious, are we? We're just, you know.
Where do you have the parents when you're doing the coaches class?
They sit on the mat.
They sit on the mat. They just sit on the mat there?
They sit on the mat, yeah. They're on their phones, they're chatting, they sit on the mat. As long as they don't mat coach, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, that was one of the questions, actually.
Yeah, I nip that instantly in the bud.
So what do you do?
I tell them shut up. I say, if you don't shut up, you can go.
Right.
Yeah, literally, you've got to be like that. Even some of the parents coaching through the warm-up, for God's sake. I'm like, you know, some of the mums are, oh, come on. I don't mind that. You know, that's all
encouragement.
Right. But we've had some proper, like, because we've got a lot of kids, there aren't clubs with a lot of kids around, especially the teenagers. We get a lot of visitors from other clubs, and those kids are normally very good technical level from all these other clubs that they come from. And it's really made me up my sort of coaching game for them, because my guys are getting filled in by these visitors that are coming. But these visitors are leveling us up, right? They're leveling my coaching up, and they're leveling my guys up. And their dads are the mat side coaches, only because they're probably not getting loads of coaching at their other clubs as well. They're coming, not all the dads, because if they watch this, it's not all the dads that do that. There's a few, but I've had to tell them anyway.
Are they often do they often do jiu-jitsu themselves? Or
No,
it's never the people that do it.
But look, I understand it. I absolutely understand it. Some of my MMA guys, this before I was quite strict with it. Some of my MMA guys, I mean, one of them was stood, not here when we were upstairs, his little girl was doing, and he's going, armbar! They're just rolling by it, and he's screaming armbar, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. Do I tell him because he's my mate? Do I tell him? And I look at them a couple of times, and they just go like that. Anyway, now I nip it straight in the bud. If, you know, I've had them, like, a parent will stand there, and his little boy, he's told his little boy to come here, right in the middle where you can see him, so he can, like that, right? And he still does all of the things like that, like that. So I just move the boy around here. Can't see him, because this is a thing. With the mat side coaching, it's annoying. Right, it's annoying. They bring them to me. Why do they bother bringing them to me? Right?
Exactly.
If they're going to mat side coach, you be his coach. Go away, you be their coach, right? I don't need them here. I don't need anyone like that to be at my gym, right? I want them their parents to trust me enough to coach their children. If they want to coach their children, that's absolutely fine. Okay, I don't mind, but they won't do that here. Yeah, that's it. There's no other answer. If they want to coach their child, they don't trust me enough to coach their child. This isn't the club for you. You know. Now, all of those dads are quiet, and they're as good as gold. They're all as good as gold. They take, and this is what I was going to get to. I understand that because sometimes their coach doesn't go. The person that runs their gym doesn't go to the competitions. So these dads have got to step up.
Oh, I see.
And I understand, I get it, right? I understand that their little boys and their little girls are sort of looking to them to be their coach. Now the dads might not know what's going on, but they're doing their best. All right. So I think what's happening is we've got that little trust issue working. You know, you've always been there for your son, and you know I'm this new guy. You brought me to the new club. So now me and you have got to get that little trust thing going. Sure. You know, I know what I'm doing. I can coach your child. Okay, I might not coach him how you want him to be coached, but we'll get the same result at the end. You know, it's not like, well, try this, have fun with that. You know, try this position here. My coaching isn't heavy. You know, it's super relaxed, especially with the kids. You know, I try to keep it formal. You know, I don't want the kids chatting too much when I'm explaining. I don't want them chatting when they're fighting. I want them to enjoy the class, but I want them to improve. You know, that's because they're not going to get there if they don't. You know, improve. They're not going to get to that place where. And you know, that's my goal. This is my club, so I can have my goals in their club. They might not be their dad's goals or their mum's goals or anything like that. They might want. You know, them to be the next big thing. Great, I can help you. Okay, I can help you get there if you let me coach your child. You know, so like you say, this podcast is about coaching children. You know, those mat side coaches are absolute pet hate of mine. Only because it's rude, right? It is rude. Really rude. It's rude.
What we found as well, sometimes it upsets the other kids. So if you're coaching your son, the other kid thinks, oh, why don't they like me? They're coaching someone to beat me. So they take it in the wrong way. And it's like they're kids. They can't be like, oh, well, that's their kid, and they're supporting their kid.
No, they don't reason like that.
It can be misinterpreted.
Kids don't reason like that.
How do you deal with, obviously, jiu-jitsu's rough.
It's
the gentle art, but it's not really, is it? It's very rough. So, you know, obviously we try and keep things as friendly as possible, but sometimes, you know, someone's going to put a forearm on someone's throat. And that 12, 10-year-old is a bit, ooh, and then they run off crying, and the parents are, oh, they were too rough. How do you deal with that situation?
Okay, so I used to worry about all of that now. But I used to worry about that, but now I don't worry about that so much. I do. Most of the parents I've got now are really good, and they really understand that jiu-jitsu is a rough sport. You know, I used to get parents go, "Oh, I'm getting nailed on my son's arm," and like. That's part of it.
That's a good technique.
You know, but he's doing it. But he's doing it. You know, he's doing it with intent. You know, that's what it is. You know, I used to get that, and I was like, oh, I'll keep my eye on them. And you know, over the past, we have had troubled kids that have brought all of their anger into jiu-jitsu. And it does eventually go. It does. I mean, we've still got some kids now that have got through that stage.
That's amazing.
But I haven't done anything special.
No.
They've just kept coming, and I've made sure that, you know, if you do see, this is the classic one, is when they're on top in mount, the kids are doing that. Right. I show them how to escape that. So, not for the fact that for the parents, if the parents come back to me, oh, he's done this again. I show them how to escape it. That's one of the most natural things for a kid to do. You know, because I tell them they can't put your eyes, cover their mouth, or anything like that. So what do? They look at them like that, and they get their forearm in their face. So I just go, right, look, you just got to slip that, and then you can push the legs, and then you can, you know, start rolling, rolling out of it. And if parents come up to me and say, oh, little Johnny's hurt so-and-so's neck again, I'm like, I've shown him how to get out of it. And I make sure sometimes, if all the parents are here, I make sure that I show them how to get out of what's hurting them. In competition, that doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
It just happens in the club, right? Because kids are working out the boundaries that they can find with each other. I don't like him, I can do that. Kids slap on submissions in the teenagers. We've had some kids that go whoa like that with the submissions, and I just make sure that I say, Leo, watch that match. I'm quite good. I'm not good at blowing my own trumpet, but I know that I'm quite good at managing a group of people, and I can walk around the room and not pick out what techniques they're really messing up as a group, right? But I can pick out the kids that are being little shits. And I can see it coming, and I can pick out when someone's just about to injure themselves, if they're posting their leg out like that, going that way. I'm really good at managing a little group like that. So I think that's one of the skills in my coaching is knowing that the group is safe, knowing what to do, with these problem kids. Like I say, we don't get too many anymore. I mean, some of them have just had to go. I've had parents running on the mats in bloody high heels because someone punched their kid, and that was back in the early days. Back in the early days, he's been dragged around the gym. He used to have long hair, like we did in the warm up today. There's a kid just dragging him around the gym.
Oh my God!
Do you remember that, Leo?
I mean, we've had proper problem kids, and back then I didn't really know how to deal with them.
Also, this is your business, isn't it?
It's
kind of like when you're sort of like, right, you got to go cancel your membership. That's income, isn't it?
Tricky one, isn't it?
I think what I kind of hope for them to do is to go, maybe that's not the place for my little boy, or not the place for them, and that's the best way to do it. I think the best way to do it, rather than just going, get your kids and F off. That's it. I haven't had to do that. I've never had to do that with kids. It's just they eventually they either grow out of it
or they stop going.
Oh, they stop coming. Yeah.
How many people have you seen come through with you, Leo? So when you were like young, let's say between like 4 and 8, how many of the people you were training with are still training with you now?
None.
Really?
Wow.
Pretty much.
There's one.
Who?
Max.
I haven't seen him anymore.
Yeah, I know, but he still trains.
He's on a hiatus.
Yeah,
he still trains.
One. One.
I mean, that's the classic story, isn't it?
You
get to black belt, and
Yeah. I mean, as we're on it, he was never the best in the class. Never, ever the best in the class.
Don't listen, Leo.
And I've, from growing up in my judo days, I was never the best in my classes. And now when I look around my room of children, I can see the ones who are winning. They're the really, really good ones. But not all of them, I know that not all of them are going to stay. And I know that some of the ones that don't quite get it, they're away with the bloody fairies, they're doing this, they're doing that. Eventually they're going to be the ones that go, oh actually, and they just go, and I'm looking, and I know I can pick some of them out in the room that I've got now, the room of kids that I've got now, and I can go, and I've taught you that as well. There's some kids in the group that you just think, if you were to come in now and you go, well, he's not very good, she's not very good, they're not even paying attention. But I know if they just keep coming, they're probably going to be the one that's left.
What's the little clues, do you think? Is it like their mindset, or the way they're moving, or
the way they're moving?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the way they're moving. Yeah. It's definitely the way they're moving. Yeah. If you get a kid that doesn't know how to, and it's hard to train that into someone. It's hard to train quickly I can show you how to do an underhook, knee slide pass like that. Some kids just don't get it there. What? Where does this go? Okay, get a grip of your partner's collar with the arm. You know, it's the classic Napoleon Dynamite thing, right? Don't look at
the other arm, my other arm.
Right, it's the classic. And you can, like I say, you show them over and over and over again, and you can just see some of them, their bodies aren't moving right.
Yeah.
I've got a little girl in my class. She must be 6 years old. She can do the best double leg out of all of my students, right? All of my students. And it's only, you know, I'm literally just showing her, go down, and then she does a proper knee drive, boom, in like that. And she does it better than any of my teenagers, any of my younger kids. She's really, really good.
Just makes sense.
She can't really win a match or anything like that, because we're not we're not really doing that at the moment. But her body moves right, and you can just see that those. Maybe I'm a lazy coach, right? On the flip side, I'm a lazy coach. I like to see those kids that can move really well, and then work with those. Maybe that's what it is. That's probably what it is.
You're walking the plant though, aren't you? You can spot that, and you're just gently walking the plant. I'm definitely at that stage with my son. He's definitely not. He's the one that's suffering doing this, isn't he? He's just like, I can sort of get his attention, like, come on, he rolls his eyes. But then I see him rolling sometimes, and he's doing moves that he hasn't really been shown. He's just kind of picking some of it up. You know what I mean? And he's not the most, naturally gifted guy in the class, and he might not take it further, but he might get that moment like you, Leo, where he just kind of, it just makes sense to him. Who knows? He's done a few competitions, hasn't won anything yet, but he might get that moment where he wins a competition and goes, oh right, that's how that feels.
Yeah, this is what it feels like.
Well, he might not, but I think at the young age, like you said before, it's the most important thing is having fun.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, for me,
like,
and a lot of
everything.
people it is, yeah.
Expect.
I would love to see how the AOJ guys get those kids doing some of the things they're doing,
some of the sequences are
they're just their level of coaching is like that, right, compared to mine, which is like down here. Their level's just right up. But I'd have to, if I wanted to do that, I'd have to get rid of everybody, and I'd have to start again. And then I'd start with them sitting there, be quiet, watch this is how we do it, right? It's not like that, or I've got 30 kids in here having a great time, right? I had to turn someone away the other day for the kids' classes, not only because it was busy, I wouldn't have turned them away if it wasn't that busy, but they said, maybe come once or twice a month, and I was like, it's pointless. It is absolutely, because then I just become a sort of entertainer.
It's just a crash in it.
I mean, but it wasn't, they didn't have that in mind. They wanted them to learn it, but I was like, no, if it's really like that, I'm afraid because we're busy as well, I'll have to turn you away. And they were fine with that. They were absolutely fine, because I don't want to be that sort of, babysitter or anything like that.
It's a hard thing to balance, isn't it? Like you say, just making sure they're having fun, but also just sort of inching in that technique.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah. If they come up and ask questions, I'll show them the technique. And my group of competitors is small for the children. It's actually and the adults. It's really, really small. And I was thinking the other day, if they ask me a question, I'll answer it to the best of my ability with the technique that they want, that they need, and they're the type of child that will go, oh, okay, this works like that, and that's good. That little group of competitors, even though it's a small number of people in your gym, same with adults as well. They're the beating heart of your gym, They really are. Even though, like, going back to MMA, you don't get any money out of MMA fighters. As a business owner, you don't. You barely get a membership out of them. They're there. They're working hard. They haven't got a lot of other income going on, so they're doing one-to-ones and stuff like that. So you hardly get any money out of them at all. I mean, you can ask Brian and if they're a professional and they haven't got another job, it's tough, right? It's tough. But those people that, if you look at it from a business, they're the people that are, like I said, the beating heart of your gym. They raise everybody else's level, whether they're competitors or not. You know, when Phil was in the UFC, you were sparring with Phil, right? Like grappling with him or whatever. I don't know if you were, but other people in the gym were. And because Phil's filling them in, they're getting better every time. You know, every time.
Yeah.
You know.
You're right.
Yeah, and it's whether you're getting. It's like the long game, you know. Like it is like the long game, and those little competitive kids that I've got, and those ones that visit us from other clubs regularly, they're bringing up the level. They're really bringing up the level.
And they inspire the others, don't they?
They really do. Yeah, I mean, they all look up to all the little boys. Look up to Leo so much. Yeah. It's really, really nice. And in sport, you've got to have that. You know, you've got to, as a young kid, you've got to have someone to aspire to. Someone real to aspire to. You know, you can watch YouTube videos and things like that. I want to be like him, but you've never really met him. Whereas, you know, the kids in our gym, now we've got a world champion in the gym, they can go, oh,
It's possible.
actually,
Yeah,
it's
I can do
possible.
that, yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, and it's possible like in my gym. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just something on TV.
Yeah,
it's real.
yeah. So they really look up to him, and it's
That's cool,
really
man.
lovely. Yeah.
That must raise you up as well, Leo, just to feel like.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a nice feeling.
I bet it is, yeah. Do you feel like, Jeff, do you ever feel like, or do you feel like Leo's taught you anything about your jiu-jitsu as his jiu-jitsu develops and he's kind of probably style-wise starting to develop his own approach, his own style?
Yeah, I learn stuff from him all the time. I mean, because he's a hungry, technical competitor, I watch them, and I've got two things about this, right? I watch them, and I'm like learning stuff all the time. Like his guard passing is really, really nice. My guard passing was never like that, but now my guard passing is better. It really is better because of watching him do stuff like that. But here's the other side of it. He'll oh Dad, I did this really cool technique on someone. We did this sweep, right? He swears down blind, right, that I didn't show him it. I 100% know that I did taught him. 100%, right? All of these things. Oh yeah, I just did it one day. Oh, did you just do it one day, right? So I've taught him all this stuff over the years, right? And he blatantly doesn't think I've taught him it. Like there's if someone, you're in close guard, right, and you pick them, and someone picks you up like that, and you follow them up like koala guard, right, up here like that, right. I teach my kids to drop their legs, bam, double leg straight away, right.
Nice, yeah.
It's really effective. It's really lovely,
yep.
right. So he's done it in tournaments a couple of times. Yeah, I just did it. Just did it. No one showed me. I just made it up.
It's mine.
It's the jiu-jitsu equivalent of like when your child comes to you and gives you a bit of wisdom that they've heard from their mate, and you're like, I told you that a month ago, and you disagreed with me, and I still do it to my life. And my wife.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So that's a funny thing.
What are the plans this year then? Have you got specific goals that you want to hit this year?
Just get better. Get better. Show up every day. Get better. That's literally it.
Amazing. That's
Great.
it.
Stick to it.
What about comps? What do you want to do? Because we haven't really spoken about it too much.
IBJJF, I want to get good at the IBJJF tournaments because you just jump in there and you think it's going to be like your Bournemouth Open.
Yeah,
It's not.
And there's an extra one this year, isn't there? In the summer.
The London
I
one.
think there's 3 London ones.
there is.
now.
There
I
is.
think there is. A national, and then the winter and the summer.
Yeah.
It'd just be good to get that experience of the IBJJF.
Yeah.
Really, really want to
Hit the adults with the ground running.
Yeah.
So you'll be an adult this year.
Yeah,
Is that right?
this is my first year.
Yeah.
IBJJF adult.
Do you think that'll be easier than juvenile, or?
No, we've already found out that it's not.
Well,
No.
I did the Euros this weekend just gone, and I lost my first match to the adults in the adults division. But learned from it, and hopefully we'll see what happens this London one. That's fun.
I think the thing is, the fact you were able to, like we said earlier, you were able to go into the Worlds with that mindset. You can just hopefully just dial that in. Do you know what I mean? And just like keep the expectations on a level. The fact you proved to yourself that you can force yourself into that mindset at that level is going to hopefully carry you through to a lot of these kind of competitions.
Yeah. sort of go in there with no expectation and just
Well,
enjoy it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you went in overconfident for this one, didn't you? Overconfident, you know, and I understand that completely. You know, you come back from the World Championships as a world champion, and then you go to your next tournament and you think, right, here we go, and then the world comes crashing down at your feet, you know, and it's a tough pill to swallow, but it is like an important thing to happen. You know, it's really, really good. And you know, last year his first IBJJF tournament was this time last year, and he didn't win that. So after that, he had the most successful year to date that he's had. So he's had that loss at the start of the year, and we've had it again, even though we didn't want to lose. We didn't want to go out there and lose, you know. So now he's started the year on the back foot, and you know he can only go forward from there. Definitely.
Yeah. Do you ever have it? Is that a battery?
Oh, I'm going to use that as a sign.
Okay, cool.
And I'm conscious of the time. I'd love to sit here and chat for hours, but we need to hit the road.
Okay.
Portsmouth.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
This has been really fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, guys.
It's nice to have a different perspective as well on the podcast, you know.
Just some amazing insights, I think, from both of you. You know, coming from both different angles from training on the mats. Do all the stuff, liking, subscribing. Go and follow these guys. Ippon Gym. Jeff Lawson. Jeff Ippon.
It's Mr.
On Instagram. Mr. Ippon. What's your Insta handle?
Leo Lawson Jiu-jitsu.
Go and follow them to follow their journey. And like and subscribe on the comment on the YouTube, all those sort of things.
All the usual stuff.
Yeah, we'll be back to the studio next week.
See you this time, guys.